Hello, everybody. It is Lori Key, the Realty Goddess of Los Angeles, California. I help to establish the community one house at a time. Welcome to today's program. I have such a special treat for you. People are always asking me about legal issues, and I have a pro here. Welcome to Cedric Collins. Hi, Cedric. How are you today?
Hi, Laura. Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing great.
I'm
How's it been going?
so glad that
Awesome.
you're here with me because I get a lot of questions and I need a pro. So you have your own office, and tell us about your office. What is the name of your office and where are you located?
Well, I'm the founding attorney at Legacy One Law Firm. We're located in the Brentwood area, a couple miles west of UCLA area, right in that area. And basically, we're a small boutique firm that's built upon relationships. It's myself and one other attorney, and we basically focus on keeping families out of court and conflict through estate planning that is designed to work how it's intended to work.
Court and conflict. I like that. Ooh, that sounds like a whole series in itself. Today, I want to talk to you about something that I get asked all the time. Sometimes I receive listings from a family and there's issues with the legality of going on with the home. Who's the trustee? Is it in probate? Blah, blah, blah. And we are going to get into that because we're starting a series. And so this is the first of our series. So I think it would be really smart for us to talk about how do you start before you even get to this position about estate planning and how important is it? Do you even have to own a home to even start with estate planning? So I'm going to turn it over to you and let you explain to me how people can get started with that and the benefits.
Thank you so much, Laura. That's a really good question. Now, to kind of handle your second question, you don't need to have a home to have an estate plan. A comprehensive estate plan, we're going to talk about that. It's comprised of several different documents. Whether it's a will or a trust at the cornerstone, there's several different documents that we put in place to help to give you a more comprehensive estate plan. Many of our clients are homeowners, but the thing that's important to realize is that even if you don't own a home, there's other assets such as your life insurance proceeds, your retirement. It's tough to own a home here in California. So I don't want to give the impression that estate planning, it's only for those with a lot of assets. What's most important?
That's one of the misconceptions.
Yes, that's one of the myths that are out there.
Right.
Do you have some property? Do you have some property? Do you care what happens to it? If something happens to you, and do you care about what happens to your family? Because they'll most likely be the beneficiaries if you have the proper planning in place.
Nice. I think that this is not taught in schools anymore. So the earlier we get to people, the better. I'm seeing more and more younger buyers. And it's good to set them up early to know that these type of things are important. So where do they start? Where do they even start?
And look, basically what you want to start is with a conversation. Because one of the things that's interesting about estate planning, or the kind of the mystique that's around it, is you got to talk about your own mortality. Right. It's not necessarily the popular conversation at the dinner party.
Right. Nobody wants to talk about that.
But we all know that we should be talking about it, but we kind of put it off. And it's one of these things that we kind of kick the can down the road. And unfortunately, over 60% of Americans, die without any kind of plan in place. And it's something that gets put off often, but it often just starts with a conversation with your loved ones, a conversation with your spouse. If you're not married, perhaps just thinking about what you want to happen and starting off with the conversation is so key, because if you got to be able to talk about it and articulate your wishes first.
Yeah. And I think that's the toughest part, because people don't want to think about that.
Exactly. But we're all going to leave here. I think Benjamin Franklin said that there's two things that are certain. That's death and taxes, right? We're not going to evade the two of those. And so when we think about, death and planning, it's not just about death, but it's about life, right? Yeah. Because life is going to continue once we're gone.
Yes.
So once we change how we think about planning, you're not planning for death, but you're planning for the life of your kids and your family members who can benefit from your hard work that you pass down to them.
So we're basically shooting stars in this big universe. We're here for a time, and then we pass it on to the next person.
Absolutely.
So if somebody wanted to get an idea of where they even start after that conversation, and now they've had that conversation and everybody's on board, what would be the next step for you?
Well, basically, we start off a process here, basically with a 15 to 20-minute conversation. We want to get to know your family dynamics, your hopes, your aspirations. We want to figure out why and what's motivating you to even start, this planning process. And I'm glad you brought up age and having uh, people being younger now getting involved with estate planning. Our youngest client right now is 27 years old.
Smart.
The 27, and he's bought his first condo, has no kids, not married,
Wow.
but he had the savvy to say, "Hey, Cedric, I want to have this conversation because if something happens to me, what's going to happen to my condo, right? Where's this going to go?"
Right.
And we started off with that 15, 20-minute initial phone conversation. I got to know what was important to him. And then from there, we can talk about a more important life and legacy, a legacy wealth planning session that we can set up to get into more detail and take a look at what happens right now
Mm.
under California law, because we're licensed to serve California residents. What happens if something happens to you right now with the plan that you currently have in place? And what most people are shocked to know is that, guess what? If you don't have a plan, the state of California, they have a plan for you.
They sure do.
But you might not necessarily like the plan that they have for you.
Right. Don't get it. Don't let the state do it. Do it on your own so you can have your wishes acknowledged and put into place. So is it safe
Absolutely.
to say, Cedric, that estate planning is the big umbrella that has a lot of things underneath it that you can customize like puzzle pieces to fit your lifestyle?
Well, absolutely, because there's several documents that make up the comprehensive plan. And in this series, we're going to touch on what these documents are. At the cornerstone should be your will or revocable living trust. We'll have an opportunity to talk about some of the differences between the two. We're often presented with that question, hey, what's the difference between a will or a trust? And which one is right for me as an individual or for me and my family? We'll also look at what we call the essential documents. And we're hearing the word essential being thrown around a lot, with the state of affairs now given the pandemic. But these essential documents are the documents that help support your plan, such as your advanced healthcare directive, the
Yes.
individual who's the agent that will step in your shoes in case you're incapacitated and can't make healthcare decisions on your own. We'll also touch bases on the durable financial power of attorney, right? So you bought this home now, and something happens to you where you're incapacitated. Well, if you or your significant other can't pay the mortgage, well, who is that person that's going to step up and make that mortgage payment for you?
I see that a lot.
Exactly. And we also have final disposition documents, which help lay out the plan for how your body is to be either cremated or buried. And something that's often overlooked, which is a very essential document, the guardianship nominations. We
Mm,
have kids, right? Some of
yeah.
us who are parents, it's often overlooked. Why aren't we naming legal guardians for our kids? And we always say this, there's no other individual who's better positioned to nominate someone to step in your shoes as a parent, but you.
Yes.
The court isn't in the best position to do that. You are, because
Right.
you know the relationships, the subtle nuances about your life and the certain individuals that the court may not know.
Right. And that could be very traumatic as well for the children because not always the state has the best interest of your wishes at all. So
Absolutely.
it's really interesting. I have really started digging into this. I'm 50. I wish someone would have actually talked to me earlier about all of this. So you came to my world in just the right time, and I'm so super excited to introduce you to my audience. And guys, we're going to have a 6-part series. So please make sure if you're not seeing this one first or you're missing out on the others, please go back and make sure you look for those. They'll be on all of our social medias as well as our contact information at the end of this video and how you can reach us and download really good information to get your conversation started. So that is the key point. You have to have that conversation. Don't just keep putting it off every single day because otherwise you never know your next day is promised or not.
Absolutely.
So Cedric, do you have anything else that you would like to say to our viewers right now before we leave?
Well, I'm just excited to get into this series, Laura, because we get the phone calls. And a lot of times we get the phone calls when it's too late, when
Yeah.
someone's maybe set up a living trust. And I had one recent scenario where I got a call from a young man who was the beneficiary of a trust that his mom left, a house that his mom left in trust. However, the asset wasn't retitled. And so
Oh,
now they're in the going through a court process. The kids, they wanted to sell the home, and so now I had to refer them to a probate attorney,
wow.
despite the fact that they had a trust. So we're going to talk about why. Why would somebody have a living trust and still end up in court? So I'm really excited about this, Laura. I think this is an opportunity to educate your community on getting how to get things set up the right way, so
Yes.
that way you don't just end up with an expensive stack of documents. Because here's what's key: it's not just a stack of documents that make a comprehensive estate plan work. And we're going to get into the kind of the nuts and bolts of what makes an estate plan work. So I'm really excited to be able to share that information with your audience.
I am too. I really am, because this is very important. Um, Regardless of where you are, even if you're outside of California, this information is valuable for you. Always please make sure you check with your local laws if you're outside of California to see how they work. And if you need referrals, you've got me as your agent, and you also have Cedric, who also has places in different areas of the world that he can help you get connected as well. So I hope
Absolutely.
that you're very excited about that. So for today, that's what we have you, give you a general overview. So don't go on the internet and start downloading this stuff, because you don't even know what you're getting into. We're going to get into the nuts and bolts and get you in the right place, aren't we?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So we thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Laura Key, and this is Cedric Collins. I wish you nothing but love, light, and blessings. Why not go out on a limb? Isn't that where the fruit is? It really is. Bye, y'all. Mwah! Sugar.